guys, Lori here. I'm back. I'm actually here to start a new reading vlog. I'm in the middle of another reading vlog, but it just doesn't have enough footage, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. But I do want to say that it is July 1st. I'm so excited for July. Normally, July is one of my bigger reading months because I'm home and because now there's a lot of quarantine stuff happening. I anticipate I will read a lot. So I decided to tackle two of the biggest books on my TBR this week. It may take me longer than a week, but that's what's going to be what this reading vlog is going to focus on. So the two books I'm going to focus on, one is Keeper of the Lost City's Legacy by Shannon Messenger. This is, I don't want to spoil myself, but this is, I have no idea. This is like about 800 pages. So but I tend to read these books so fast, but I really am excited for this. I wasn't the biggest fan of Flashback. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I really am excited to dive into this one. The other book I have, it's over somewhere. Where is it? Somewhere. Is Chain of Gold by Cassie Clare. That is also a really, really big book. I'm about 6 chapters into it right now. Sorry, it's over there. But I do definitely want to tackle these two books. So yeah, that's kind of my plans. But yeah, so my dad retired recently and he's been home a lot. So he's going to actually help me work out, which is nice of him. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to read my chapter in Me and White Supremacy. And then I'm probably going to finish my Skillshare class. So a lot of little errandy stuff coming up. And then I'm definitely going to probably go for a bike ride and try to start this. I read about 18 pages, so not a whole lot. But I really do like being back in the world. I also do have to film today. I have to film a couple of things, which I'll probably do. But yeah, that's kind of my plan of attack. I don't think we have any plans today, but I always say that and then I wind up doing things. So we will see. But I'll check in with you guys after all of my R&D stuff. Bye, guys. Hey guys, Lori here. I'm back. I did actually wind up taking my part of my Skillshare class, and it's about productivity and like organization, and that's something that I have always struggled with. But especially because I have a feeling I'm going to be home a little bit more next school year. I just have a feeling I might. I'm trying to get myself a little bit more organized. So I literally spent like 2.5 hours deleting all the emails in my email box and filing stuff, developing a note-taking system just to have it. And then I also like put some more things on my planner to do that I keep forgetting to do, which I have to add another one. But yeah, so I'm really trying to, you know, be a little bit more organized. That's my plan. But I was able to work out with my dad. He was very, very helpful. But I am going to go on a bike ride because it looks like rain, and I'm going to come back and then I'm probably going to tackle all the things on my weekly planner to film a few videos and stuff. But I do want to actually get a little bit more farther in Legacy by Shannon Messenger. Right now I'm still on page 18, so I really didn't make a whole lot of progress, but I feel a little bit better. I was also able to read my chapter about white supremacy, about African American men and the stereotypes that come with them, which I always get so angry at those chapters because but then you also have to realize like it's so hard and it's so heartbreaking. So but I am going to I am going to try to go to the park and read about 50 pages of this just so I'm in it. I tend to read these books super fast. So that's my plan of attack. I will see you guys when I come back from my bike ride. Bye guys. Lori here, just checking back in. It's 12:30. I wound up coming home. I wound up eating and, doing all that other stuff. But I did wind up making a little bit of reading progress on Keeper of the Lost City's Legacy, and I'm on page 35, which is pretty good. These chapters are very, very long, but I do read them very, very quickly. So this is the 8th book in a however long it's going to be series. So I don't want to talk spoilers, but what I do want to say is that the one thing I love about this series is that it really gives these young characters the chance to be a hero in a world that adults support that. Normally when I read middle grade books, and even sometimes YA books, the adults in those books are very adamant that these characters are not strong enough to do these things, even though if they're like the chosen one or if they're able to do this. The adults are very much like, you cannot do that. That is not what we want you to do. We'll take care of it. And I always struggle with that because I want my kids to know that they're strong when they read books, and I want them to be able to see characters in fantasy worlds having these adventures. So and I'm even talking about Harry Potter. There's a lot of times in the Harry Potter series that Harry and Hermione and Ron are really withheld from information because so many people are trying to protect them. So the one thing I love about Shadow Messenger and this series is that that's not done. The kids are always at the forefront of what is happening. The kids are always in the conversation. The kids get so much freedom in these books. Freedom is like to do what they need to do, and their adults aren't going to be mad at them. I think that was the best done in the book called Neverstein when they had to make that big choice. They all made it as a group. And that's another thing that's happening in this book. I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen. Like, it's one of those books that like. The ending of last book, the end of Flashback, ended off on like two really, really big cliffhangers that I'm really curious to see, like, what's the aftermath of that going to be. Actually 3 cliffhangers, I'll say that. But I'm just really, really curious. So I'm gonna do a little bit of work. I have my planner that I'm gonna work on, film some videos for you guys. And then I'm probably gonna dive in and listen to some of my videos that I have. But yeah, I'm gonna go do some filming and some organizing. And I'll talk to you guys when I'm about to go start reading. Bye guys. It's Lori here. It's almost 3 o'clock. I did wind up doing a bunch of my filming. I wound up filming two to 3 videos, and I did a bunch of Instagram stuff. So I'm actually pretty happy. So I am actually going to dive back into Legacy. I'm going to go sit outside. Hopefully it doesn't rain because I don't want to get caught in the rain. I'm going to read for a little bit, and then I'm probably going to go for another bike ride because it's really, really pretty out. But yeah, that's kind of my plans. I will update you guys when I can, when I make a little bit more progress on Keeper. I didn't really get a lot of reading done, but I did get my errands done. I talked about earlier in this clip, I'm really trying to be a little bit more organized. I have the summer, so I'm going to try to work on that system a little bit. And that Skillshare class that I'm taking has been super helpful. I am not affiliated with them in any way, but you do get 2 free months, and I have the summer off, so I figured I would take up a membership while I have a little bit of time, and then next summer I'll probably take it back again, or do it again, or seeing what the fall brings, I might keep doing it. I don't know. But I'm gonna go read Keeper of the Lost Cities Legacies, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye. Hey guys, Lori here. It's 5:10. I did wind up getting up to page about 90 in Keeper of the Lost Cities Legacy. I'm really intrigued. Like, it's a very, like, complicated series because there's so many characters, and my favorite characters, other than, like, Sophie, are, like, some of, like, the smaller characters that you don't get to see a lot. So I'm hoping we'll get to see them a little bit more. But there's just a lot of dynamics because there's so many people. And I think actually this cast of characters, like the immediate cast of characters, is probably one of the bigger cast of characters I've seen. The only thing I can relate it to is like book 5 of Harry Potter, because there was a lot of people in that book, and then like slowly they all tapered off. But it's a very like complicated world. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil anyone. But I'm really, really enjoying it. So I'm going to go for a quick bike ride, read for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back and just keep reading. I have a few YouTube videos to catch up on and, you know, a to-do list for tomorrow. But I will come back when I'm home, and I'll let you guys know if I read anything. Hopefully I will. And what were my thoughts. I guess. It's Lori here. I'm back. I finally figured out that TBR and Beyond is doing their reading challenge this summer. So I spent a little bit of time choosing my next read for that, which is actually super exciting. I love that game. I love board games. I like completing challenges. I'm very, very goal oriented, and I like those types of challenges. But I do want to say that I did get to page 100 in Keeper of the Lost Cities Legacy. I was afraid I was going to get caught in the rain, so I like ran home and I just finished my 100 pages. I'm really intrigued. Again, I said this in the previous clip. This is a wide cast of characters, so we slowly get them throughout the whole book. Last book, we didn't get to see nearly as many as I wanted, so hopefully this book we have a lot more characters that we get to see. Maybe that's why I struggle with book 7. This book is book 7 a little bit because it really was very, very insular to like 3 characters. This book, I hope we get a few more characters to kind of play with, but still really enjoying it. There's definitely a mystery that's afoot, and this has been a mystery that's afoot since book 1. So I'm really hopeful that we can get maybe like 1 answer out of the 7 different mysteries that are in this book. I hope we get 1 answer. We'll be really happy if we get more than 1 answer. But I'm going to go read, and I'll update you guys when I get to page 150. Unless something massive happens and I have to update you guys. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Lori here. I'm back. Sorry, I'm being a little bit lazy, and I'm not getting up to turn on my light. But I do want to report that I did wind up getting up to page 160 in Keeper of the Lost City's Legacy. This book's dynamic is definitely changing, and as I said, I like when we have more characters added into the puzzle, and I'm really excited about this potential change because what's happening because one of my characters that has not had that much love in the last couple of books is getting more attention than he deserves. So I'm excited about that. And I think this dynamic is a little bit interesting because it's kind of it's just interesting. Like they're definitely going towards a path. They're working closer with the government, I'll say that. But I'm liking it. So I'm going to go back to reading, and when I get up to page 200, if I'm able to do that, I will update you guys. I'm going to do that. Nice. Lori here. It's 10 o'clock. I did actually wind up getting to the end of a chapter, so I'm on page 190. Always the first 100 pages in these books is it's always like a little bit of like back play because you have to relearn what happened in the last book, and then it's kind of setting up the book. But this concept is very, very interesting and so different, so I'm really curious to see like what the next 600 pages brings, because this concept is really different. I'm trying not to be too spoilery, but I really am liking the character dynamics a lot. I like that the core group of characters that this book is going to focus on. It reminds me a lot of Neverseen, and that was probably one of my favorites in that series so far. So I'm gonna go relax, but I will be back tomorrow with another update after my yoga class, which I'm going to take an early yoga class, which is one of the more intense yoga classes that I wanted to take since this quarantine started. So I'm excited for that. I just have to remember to wake up on time, which this week it's not been a good week for me waking up on time. So hopefully I told my parents to wake me up. So hopefully they remember in my alarm I don't just hit the snooze button. But I'll update you guys tomorrow when I'm done with all that stuff. Bye guys. Right here and back. I just took a yoga class, so I might look a little bit gross. But I did want to say that this morning I did wind up getting up to page 213 in Keeper of the Lost City's Legacy. We have finally hit the point where this book I think is about to take off. We have like the premise of it, which I don't want to spoil in case you haven't read it. But I really am liking it. I'm liking how complex this world is. I'm like how these characters are forced to be friends with people or be in a team with someone they don't necessarily like. I'm just really, really enjoying it. So I'm going to do I call it homework, but it's not really homework. It's just my nonfiction reading of the day that I'm going to do. And I think that that's kind of what I'm going to do for this summer because there are so many nonfiction books I do want to read. And I think I'm just going to kind of tackle them slowly but surely. So I'm going to read my chapter of White Supremacy, finish my Skillshare class, and then I'll report back and let you guys know my thoughts. Bye guys. It's Lori here. I'm back. It's actually almost 10 o'clock. I actually did wind up reading 2 chapters in my Me and White Supremacy book, so I'm on track to finish it by Friday, which is nice. Well, I finished that section by Friday, which is good. And I also wound up finishing my first Skillshare class, which it was actually really, really nice. I like that. I'm going to take another class by that young gentleman, Frank, I think his name, Thomas Frank, I think his name is. I'm going to take the next one next week. I'll probably actually start it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm going to go for a bike ride. It's supposed to be like a really, really hot day out, so I actually want to go like a little bit earlier than I normally do. And then I'm going to figure out what the day is going to bring. So I will be back with you guys in a little bit. I'll let you guys know how much progress I made. Right now, I'm on page 213 in Legacy. Still really enjoying it. I think this book's about to hit its stride. And I'm really excited to keep reading. So I will go do that, and I'll check back with you guys when I come back from my bike ride. Bye, guys. It's Lori here. I'm back. I did wind up actually going to Barnes & Noble with my mom, which I was so excited about. But I did also wind up making quite a bit of progress on Legacy. I'm now on page 282. The story is definitely getting more complicated. I think we possibly are going to get the answer to one question by the end of this, which is so exciting. But I'm really loving the character dynamics. This is definitely becoming one book that I'm thoroughly, really, really enjoying. It's very much a long game, I'll say that. Like, it's a lot of stuff is happening, and it just takes a long time for it all to happen. But I'm on page 283, so I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I just got back from going to Barnes & Noble. I'll do a book haul later in the month, and then I'm going to probably go for a bike ride and read in the park because it's pretty out. But when I come back, I'll update you guys a little bit more on my book. Bye, guys. It's Lori here. I'm back. It's about 3:25 or 3:30. I actually did make quite a little bit of progress on Legacy, but we are about to find out one of the secrets that has been like basically since in this book since the very, very start. So I wanted to take a quick break and like kind of play a little bit of Animal Crossing, but I am gonna dive in and I'm gonna find out what this secret is that everyone doesn't know. So I'm very excited. But yeah, I'm gonna go do that, and when I make a little bit more progress, like probably when I get to page 350, I'll probably update you guys unless the secret is too big that I need to like share my non-spoilerly thoughts. But be back in a bit. Lori here. I'm back. It is about 6 o'clock. I am participating in a last minute readathon with some people, so that's actually super exciting. Hopefully, it will motivate me. I did wind up getting up to page 374, which means I have hit 50% on with this book, and I'm actually really liking it. I think I'm definitely preferring this book to Flashback, which actually is good. There's a ship in this book that I don't love. It's definitely not my Percy or Annabeth or my Ron and Hermione, and there's another ship that I like a little bit more, and in Flashback, that was like that the ship I didn't like was very, very focused on. But the dynamics and what characters we're focusing on in this book is like a little bit different, and there's a lot of other elements happening in this book that I am really enjoying. I just like the structure of it a little bit better. So I'm gonna go back to reading, and hopefully I'll update you guys when I get up to page like 350 and let you guys know my thoughts. But so far, definitely liking this book a lot better than Flashback, so that's good. Talk to you guys in a bit. Sorry, here, just checking back in. It is 7:30, and I do want to getting up to page 411 in Legacy. This book's definitely taking an unexpected twist and turns. Also, when I started reading this series, I was not watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. So now that I have watched Avatar, Lynn's character reminds me so much of the Water Tribe because her power is like water themed, and the way she was talking about it just reminds me a lot of like how they talk about it in Avatar. So I really, really like that. I love that the amount of people that they can count on is just growing and growing and growing. And it's different people than we had in the first couple of books, and I really do like that. I also do like that like Sophie as a leader is trying to tell these young kids like it's not all fun and games, like this is war and this is a battle, and I'm finding that to be super interesting. There's also a really interesting dynamic between her and Mr. Forkle, who's kind of like the Dumbledore character of this series, and they're not really getting along right now. And I think that that's sort of interesting because normally in this book, she always kind of comes around to his way of thinking, but there is like a hard line in the sand that she won't cross, and I think that that's really interesting. Or I would say there's an answer that she wants that he like can't or chooses not to give her. So I think that that's super interesting. I have a thing about twins, and there's a group of twins in here as well. So, but really, really enjoying it. I'm gonna go back to reading, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Sorry, here I'm back. I just wound up getting up to page 454 in Legacy. Keyword Velocities. Keyword Velocities Legacy. I really am liking this book. I love books that use like a darkness as like a concept, like being trapped in the darkness or having like hallucinations and nightmares. I like that a lot, and I've seen that a lot. I actually recently read Once Upon a Dream, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and I wound up loving that concept. It reminded me a little bit of that in here, but there's a lot of character types. Like now we're driving into dwarves, and whenever I see dwarves or elves, I always think of the Magnus Chase series, Blitzen and the other little guy. I always think of them whenever I read elves and dwarves. But I really am liking these characters. I think that the one thing I like about this series is every book kind of focuses on like a different subgroup of characters. Last book was very, very isolated to two characters. This book we have a lot of more characters that I wasn't necessarily expecting. Because a choice was made at the start that kind of set up the tone for that. I really am liking it. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the next couple of pages. I'm probably going to read up to page 500, and then I'm going to go watch Atla, because I finished listening to my podcast episode. But for a pretty good book, I got a pretty good way done. I didn't get as much as I wanted to read today, but I will definitely read 50 more pages, and then I'm going to probably call it for the night. But still really enjoying it, which is really, really good. I'm enjoying this book a lot more than I liked Flashback, which is the book right before this. So that's good progress for me anyway. Laura here, I'm back. It's about 8:40 on June 3rd, which means I think Hamilton is on Broadway today, which means I'm definitely going to be checking that hopefully today. But I did want to check in and say that last night I did wind up reading a bunch more of Keeper of Velocity's Legacy. I actually wound up reading a lot more than I thought I was, because I was going to stop reading at a certain chapter, and then that chapter was a plot point that I was really intrigued in, so I kind of kept reading. So now I'm on page 513 in this book. Still really enjoying it. This is definitely right now a 5-star read for me. I'm loving it. I'm loving the world. I'm loving the group of characters that we're working with. I'm just really, really enjoying it. I love that Sophie's really coming into herself as a leader. I have a soft spot for one character in this book. He's not like he's just, I like him as a character. He just is a fun guy, and he really hasn't got a lot of screenplay in the last couple of books. So I'm happy that he has a much bigger role in this book, and that's making me super happy. The romance that was developed in the last book is kind of not as prevalent in this book, and I'm okay with that because I'm not a big fan of that romantic ship, to be very honest with you. But I'm loving where this book is going. I'm loving the characters. I'm loving the world building. So I'm going to go do my homework. Homework is my nonfiction reading for the day. I'm going to start a new Skillshare class. It looks like it's going to pour, but maybe I could squeeze in a bike. I'm also going to do a yoga class for sure. Definitely if it winds up raining, I'll probably wind up doing my yoga class. But yeah, that's kind of my plan. I will check in with you guys when I'm done with my homework. And I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Flurry here, I'm back. It's about 9:45. I did wind up actually reading my chapter in Me and White Supremacy, which is about cultural appropriation, which I found super interesting. I really, really like that. I also wound up finishing my short story in Nasty Women, so now I'm on The Pathology of Donald Trump, which I will probably read when I'm done with this, which is Keeper of Velocity's Legacies. I do have to go to a yoga class in about an hour, so I am going to go for like a quick bike ride just because I think it might rain today and I want to go before it. But I did wind up starting a new class in Skillshare, which is all about habits, which I'm really trying to get better at. I took his productivity course, Thomas Frank, and I really wound up liking it. So I wound up reading like another chat page of Keeper of Velocity's Legacy, but I am going to go for a quick bike ride before the rain comes. And then I'm literally going to spend the rest of the day reading that because I really, really want to know what happens to Kiwi, Sophie, Dex, and Fitz. So that's my plan of attack. I'll be back, and I'll probably check in with you guys when I'm done with yoga. Bye. There, I'm back. I just wound up reading a little bit, and I realized that the Babysitters Club dropped a little bit earlier than I was expecting, so I'm actually going to watch the first episode. If you followed my last my last couple of reading vlogs, I have been reading the graphic novels in that series, and I actually am going to read the next one pretty quick because every episode kind of focuses on one of those books. So I'm watching the first episode, which is the book I love. I just love the start of that series. I think that was the only Babysitters Club book I read as a kid because I love when people start clubs. But I also did wind up getting up to page 550 in Keeper of Velocity's Legacy. This book is having the feeling that I had when I read my Harry Potter books. Like, every chapter ends on, like, a cliffhanger, and I have to just keep reading. So I'm going to watch, like, 20 minutes of the Babysitters Club, and then I'm probably going to go outside and just tackle a lot of it because I really just want to know what's happening. I'm so engrossed in this book. This is definitely one of my favorite books in the series. I think the last book I gave 5 stars to was, it might have been Never Seen, or the one after Never Seen. I think it was book 3 or 4. I can't remember, but one of those books I gave 5 stars to. This one might be my next 5-star read, honestly, because I'm really, really loving it. I'm loving the pacing. I'm loving the development of the characters. I'm also loving the focus on them. I've said this before. This book has a very, very wide cast of characters. I cannot think of a series that I've read in recent years that has such a wide cast of characters and that keeps on like expanding and expanding the world, and I'm really, really liking that. But because there's so much characters, some characters don't always get enough love in every single book. So I'm really liking the characters that are being focused on in this book. I've said before that I'm not the biggest fan of the main romantic ship right now, but I have a feeling that may change shortly, or it may go a different direction. I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, I'm gonna go watch the end of the Babysitters Club episode, and then I'm probably gonna dive back into Keeper. And I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Hey, Slurry here. I'm back. It's about 2:14. I do wind up getting up to page 600 in Legacy. I'm gonna actually go for a bike ride because it's still pretty out. It has not rained like I feared it would. So I'm going to go for a bike ride, and then I'll check in about my thoughts about Keeper. Really, really enjoying it, though. Talk to you guys in a bit. Hey guys, Lori here. I'm back. It's about 4 o'clock. I just wound up going for a bike ride. I got up to page 650 in Keeper of the Lost City's Legacy. I'm making my way through it. It's a super big book, but I'm really enjoying it. We're at a critical point where my spidey senses are tingling. And I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong, but I feel like there might be a Harry Potter book 4 moment upcoming. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to be too spoilerly, especially if I'm right. And I don't want to make this a spoiler reading vlog yet. But really liking it. I'm definitely going to do like a series review of Keeper of the Lost Cities when I'm done because I know people are looking for some middle grade series to kind of latch onto. But I'm really, really liking it. I just want to know what's going to happen. Like, I'm so invested in this book and these characters in this world. And honestly, it's been since Harry Potter since I felt this connected to a group of characters. And I think even more so because it's 8 books long. And I'm reading them very, very quickly. I'm reading them over like 2.5 years, but still loving it. And I'm really intrigued to see how this book is going to end. There was some unexpected characters that made a reappearance, and I think it's going to cause a lot of drama for the main relationship in this book. But, gonna go back to reading, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Hey, it's Lori here, just checking back in. I did wind up making a bit more progress on Legacy. I'm now on page 709, so I'm pretty far into this book. I'm really enjoying it. This is a book in this series that's kind of sort of like a game changer because we're getting more, like there's a lot of questions in this series that we're kind of getting answers to. We got the answer to 2 of really, really big questions in this series that I'm really liking, and I didn't necessarily predict either one. But I'm really enjoying it, and now they're heading into the climax of this book. And you know, this world is so big and these characters are so big, and every kind of end of the book there's a battle. So this is kind of their final battle, and I'm so curious like how it's going to end. They have a massive cast of characters, so I'm just a little bit fearful that like some of them aren't going to make it. And this is book 8 in like, I don't know how long this series is going to be. I know book 7.5 is coming out in November, but I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's like an actual book or it's like maybe like more information. I don't know what that's going to be, but I'm really, really liking it. I have about 70 pages left, so I'll probably read about 50 pages and then I'll kind of give you guys an update, but really enjoying it. It's such a fascinating world. It really, really is. It's one of those worlds that just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding and expanding. Like every book you kind of get another aspect of the world. And I'm really enjoying it. I love that there's the magic school isn't present in this book like a lot, but I just love the cast of characters. Like it's a big group of characters. I said there's at least like 10 to 12 like main kid characters, and then there's a lot of adults. I love that this book focuses on found family. I think that's one of my favorite tropes in this by far. I'm just really, really enjoying it. There's also a lot of like teenage elements that's happening, romantic elements that's happening. I'm just really, really enjoying it. I can't wait to see what this final battle brings, and I'm gonna go read it, and I'm gonna let you guys know my thoughts. Oh, also, I don't think I spoke about this, but there is a podcast that I'm really, really liking, Fandom Buzz, which is from Alexa Loves Book, Mackie, and Alexa, and I've been catching up on those episodes. I was a little bit fearful listening to them because I had not made any progress on this series when I first started listening, and I had not read Chain of Gold. Still haven't read Chain of Gold, but I'm making some progress on it. That show was very, very spoilery, so I was trying to catch up on all my series before I caught up, but I did want to listen to a couple of episodes today. I highly recommend that if you've not checked it out. It's called Fandom Buzz, and you can find it on Spotify. But they do talk spoilers, so if you haven't read those series, like, just be warned. But I'm going to go back to reading, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye. Hey, it's Lori here. I'm back. It's about 6:21. I did get up to page 650. I'm really intrigued to see what happens in the last 20 pages of this book, or like 50 pages of this book. I'm just so curious, because we finally hit the end of the battle, I'll say that, and, you know, there's something that's happening, and I'm really curious, like, what it is, because we've been heard about this since book 3, so it's a big plot point, and I think it's going to change the game of this book. I have a theory that I think is going to happen. I'll be curious to see if I'm kind of right or kind of wrong. There's also this picture on the front of this book that I'm curious if that's going to happen as well, because it's kind of like the dust jacket. I don't want to show it because I don't want to give it away. But I'm curious if two things are going to happen. So I'm really, really curious. I'm going to go dive back in, and then I'm probably going to wind up wrapping up this reading vlog because it definitely took longer than I thought to read this book, but really, really enjoyed it. Definitely a 5-star read as of right now. We'll see what the ending is. See if it kills me a little bit, but talk to you guys in a bit. Hi guys, Laura here. I'm back. I did actually finish reading Legacy by Shannon Messenger. I hate this cliffhanger. And I really hate it because I have to like wait. I have been reading this series for about like 6 to 8 months, I think, maybe longer. But it was really, really good. I loved it. We actually got answers in this book, like solid answers in this book, and I think that is showing me that this series is getting closer to an end point, or at least closer. Like we really reached the point where we're starting to get answers. I just love this series so much. I'll definitely be doing a review for you guys, like a series review where I'll talk spoilers and then not spoilers so that I can like give you guys my thoughts. But I thought this was a great book, probably one of my favorites in this series, definitely better than Flashback. I just love the characters that were the focus of this book, and I also really loved the format of it, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this reading vlog up. I did wind up finishing reading Legacy during this. I also did do some other reading. Like I finished. I made some progress on Me and White Supremacy. I read a little bit of Nasty Women. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up this reading vlog, and I'm gonna go start another reading vlog for the weekend. And I will talk to you guys for my next reading vlog. Bye, guys.